Hi, it's Mark from Top Local. We're here with Bernie Pawlik. Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, Vancouver's best auto service experience. How are you this morning, Bernie?
Doing very well.
So we're going to talk about an experienced Ford, a 2004 Ford F150. What was going on with this fine Ford product?
Well, the vehicle came to our shop for a couple of reasons. First, there was a check engine light on, the engine was running rough, but also when driving down the road, there was a lot of pretty horrific noise coming from the front end of the vehicle, something in the drivetrain. So we needed to do some diagnostics on those particular items.
So what sort of diagnosis did you do?
Well, first off, for the engine issue, we plugged a scan tool in, found some trouble codes, all related to a lean fuel condition. Did the diagnosis on that and found there's a large vacuum leak at the back of the intake manifold. These 5.4 liter Fords have a plastic intake manifold, and then on the back, buried, like really, really hard to access. There are a couple of vacuum hoses that slip onto the back of the intake manifold, and they can pop off from time to time. One's a very large diameter one, which actually feeds a power brake booster. So if that's off, you'll know because your brakes will be hard as rocks. But this one, it was a smaller diameter hose, which affects the fuel pressure regulator and the four-wheel drive locking hub system. So that's the engine diagnostic figured out. For the drivetrain, again, we did an inspection on the front end and found that there was an issue going on with the locking hubs, partially related to the vacuum leak, but there was also something else going on there. So the hubs would not disengage properly, so they're half locked in most of the time. Also found a left front wheel bearing that was in really bad shape too. So again, there's play in the wheel bearing, and the locking hub mechanism can be affected by that too.
So how do the locking hubs work on this vehicle?
Well, basically what they do, when you're in two-wheel drive, they basically disengage. Four-wheel drive, they engage, of course. But how they work is there's little splines on the wheel bearing and on the axle shaft, and there's a little coupler unit that's vacuum operated. There's a little vacuum switch. It stores engine vacuum, so when you push a button or when you turn it into four-wheel drive, it actually engages the hubs. Now, if there's a failure of that system, say a vacuum leak, it'll actually keep them locked into the four-wheel drive all the time. The transfer case just disengages, so you're out of four-wheel drive at the hubs, and axles and front drive shaft are always running. I'll just share a few photos here. This is the hub actuator. There's two of them. We replaced the hub actuators in this vehicle because it was definitely wear. They weren't reliable anymore. This is the little vacuum port right here, which takes the engine vacuum and a signal from the switch. So you're looking at each side of the hub here, bolts in from the back of the hub, and this is the little collar that it slides back and forth. Only about a 1/4 inch, just a small amount, maybe not even that much, but it's just enough to lock the two. Lock the wheel bearing with the axle shaft. This is the wheel bearing. Now this wheel bearing, you can actually see the splines here, and this angled part here, a little subtle to see. You can see it there too. This is severely worn. This is actually supposed to be completely flat, like the part up here. So this had worn really badly because the hub was partially engaged and just caused it to grind and wore the metal away in this hub. So this was from the right-hand side. The one on the left was better, but the one on the left, surprisingly, was the one that had actually the bad wheel bearing. The bearing was, had a lot of excess of play. And then finally, we get to the axle shaft. We replaced the right axle shaft on this vehicle. The CV boot was blown open, so we replaced the unit. But again, here you can see these splines here, and these are actually in good shape on this. It's pretty hard metal, but the wheel bearing hub sits right here beside it, and that little collar slides over and locks the two of them into place when you want to be in four-wheel drive.
Pretty unique system, and I know that Ford certainly isn't the only company to use locking hubs. Why do manufacturers use these devices? Why not just keep the front wheels spinning, powered all the time?
Well, actually, in fact, some vehicles do, but it takes more energy to spin all that drivetrain. You've got, while the wheel's turning, you're rotating an axle shaft, you're rotating the front differential, you're rotating the front propeller shaft, drive shaft to the transfer case. So those are all extra items that are being moved. It takes energy to move them. So by disengaging the hubs, you're not moving those parts. It also, I guess, theoretically prevents them from wearing out, but also at the same time, it's good to have them working every once in a while, because if you only engage your four-wheel drive once every couple of years, and those parts have been sitting unmoved, you know, there might be some issues going on there. So, you know, lack of usage is just as bad on a vehicle as too much usage. So, but overall, it's really an economy thing. You don't need those parts moving, so why not just keep them not moving? And I guess the other good reason to have it not moving as well is it keeps noise down, because whenever you got gears moving and things moving, it adds a little extra noise too. So you don't have the noise associated with those moving parts. Most manufacturers do have them, but there are, as I mentioned, there are some. I'm thinking like older Jeep Cherokees, Grand Cherokees, where they actually everything was just engaged all the time. And of course, if you have an all-wheel drive vehicle, that's always going to be in place. It's really for a two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive vehicle. It has the locking hubs.
So is this a common issue on Ford trucks?
We fix a few of them from time to time. You know, we run into problems a lot with the vacuum system on these. But to the extent of the wear on this truck, no, not so much. This truck has a fair amount of kilometers on it. It's well used, so it's not you know, not unacceptable. It would have this kind of wear. But we do run into these issues on a few Ford trucks, but overall the system's pretty reliable.
And how about on the different models? Is this used on the F250s and the F350s?
They do use a similar system. Of course, the wheel bearings in the 250s and 350s are much larger, but they use a similar system on most of them. But also on a lot of the larger 250 and 350 trucks, they also have an option to manually lock the hub as well. So, which is a good thing, because if there's some sort of failure in the system, you can always go in and manually lock the hub in also. So they actually kind of do serve. A lot of them have a dual system.
So there you go. If you're looking for service on your 4x4 in Vancouver, the guys to see are Pawlik Automotive. You can reach them at 604-327-7112, or check out their website, pawlikautomotive.com, or you check out our YouTube channel, Pawlik Automotive Repair. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark.